We're live again.
Is this one on? Yes.
I don't know. Yes.
Sounds like
now.
it's on. Hello. All right.
Hi. We're officially back. So we're going to get right back into the readings right now. But we have one thing before we continue.
One quick announcement. So one of our contributors, Pratibha, who you saw by the door, we will be reading one of her poems shortly. She also runs something called the Literary Nest Journal, and they have writing contests coming up at the end of March. So any writers out there interested in submitting, I think she said fiction, nonfiction, and art, and poetry, check out the literarynest.com, and they're giving away gift cards as prizes, so we encourage you to check that out.
All right, on with the show.
This is The Night Subway Crawl by Pratibha Kelapure. When the evening bleeds on the horizon and the crimson of dusk turns into the oozing ink of the night, I walk under the blind sky, leaving behind the walled-in stories of lives, ours and theirs, lived or unlived, the bustling movement of the city that spits me out like a poisoned peach. I climb down the subway steps, too many to count, one for each of you who walked under this unlit sky, morphed into the corpse by the graffitied wall. Thank you.
This is an excerpt from Not the Madonna by Allison Landa. When we arrive in Santa Barbara, we do the same things that we always do. Check into Motel 6, because dogs stay for free, and we have too. Lug our stuff up to our room and search for the Food Network. This douchebag Guy Fieri is on 24/7, Adam says, not taking his eyes from the screen. He must get crazy royalties. He's not so much as a douchebag as a dork, I say, slipping an arm around Maisie, our girl dog. She yawns and then nestles her face into my neck. Jack, the boy dog, lies at our feet, licking his crotch. You can tell he was a total geek in high school. Why do you think his hair is like that? He needs attention. Adam and I have been together for 10 years. Living together for 9, married for nearly 7. We live life on our own terms, that is, like teenagers. He is 36 and I am 40. We've both achieved landmarks of adulthood, education, careers, the occasional white hair, but we consider them trappings, not what defines us. What defines us is in this room, us and the dogs. What more do we need? Adam stretches and reaches for his phone. What's for dinner? We end up at a bar called Seven, a bar restaurant called Seven, the kind of place I would have never found myself when I went to school here 2 decades ago. It's sleek and cannily lit, a panorama of beer taps against a faux brick wall. We take a corner seat and giggle while we peruse the menu. I eye a $14 blackened chicken salad. He chooses gluttony, a tri-tip sandwich with garlic aioli and a $12 price tag. I would have totally turned my nose up at this place when I was in my 20s, I say. If it wasn't Sam's To Go or Woodstock's, it was for old people. He raises an eyebrow and the waiter approaches. He strikes me as a slightly more polished version of a UC Santa Barbara student, maybe a year or so past graduation. My God, I think, I could be this kid's mother. Granted, I would have had to get pregnant at 17 or 18, but it is mathematically possible. My parents didn't enjoy having kids. They did it because that's what you did, the de rigueur of their generation. My father spent my childhood hiding out in his den doing paperwork. My mother spent that time in the bathroom, smoking in what she thought was a clandestine way. We learned to be grateful for their absence. "So what do you want to do while we're down here?" he asks. I rattle off a list. Check out a few new coffee shops and bars, maybe cruise around campus with the dogs, go over to the mission. Not on that list, however, is conception. It's hard to remember when we mutually figured out that we didn't want kids. It was early in the relationship, that I do know. If I say that it was as we talked while lying in bed after sex, that probably wouldn't be far off. If I believe that he had his hand on my stomach as he spooned me, that he brought up the idea of kids, and we both laughed, I imagine that that might be pretty accurate. That first night in Santa Barbara, Bobby Flay is dialed down low on the television. Dogs by our side, and afterward we lie together, breathing rhythmically. I'm just about certain that that's when it happened. They say that conception is a battle, a race, fought and won by the fittest. Neither Adam nor I are athletes, and I can't imagine his sperm wouldn't stop to take a beer break every so often. Instead, here's how I picture it. The sperm stumble out of the gate. Half of them are hung over. They trip over one another, elbowing the competition half-heartedly. A few lie down just a few paces in, breathing heavily, like bulldogs asked to run the 5-minute mile. Others go on gamely, minuscule beyond minuscule drops of sweat tumbling down their not yet formed foreheads. One sees what it thinks is an ice cream stand, really it's just some tissue, and veers off course. Eventually, the others drop out. Except for one. That's the one who's the most lively and arguably the bitchiest. It's charmingly bitchy, though, the kind you want to hate, but they make you laugh, too hard to follow through. It's racing against the only other contender who drops out to smoke a joint somewhere along the fallopian tube. It stops to consider bumming a puff, but instead just books it for that destination. Egg, here we come. Burrow, snuggle. I don't feel so good, I say. It's 2 days later and we're eating a Cajun breakfast. I knew it, Adam says. Those nasty drinks you love so much are catching up with you. Espresso bitters aren't for everyone, you know. No, I say, it's something different. I'm 40 years old. I've had all kinds of nausea. There's something about this unease, though. It's not just the fact that it feels buried deeply into my cells. It's the randomness of it all. There's no reason I should be feeling this way. In fact, these days I feel better than I ever have in my life. It's hard to put into words, I say. It's just something. I glance at him, envying his coffee. After the weight loss surgery, I'm forbidden from drinking and eating at the same time, something to do with limited stomach capacity. There's a whole sheaf of rules that goes along with having had this procedure. I'm not good with structure. My best days are the unscheduled ones. I think I'm gonna hurl. I find my way to the bathroom. I hang over the toilet and feel the room spin. After a minute or two, my vision clears. False alarm, I say, retaking my seat on the stool. What's going on? I don't know, I say. You know that I'm queasy sometimes after the surgery. Yeah, but you rarely puke. I didn't puke. Well, okay. You want some grits? There was a picture of us on State Street that we took maybe 15 minutes after that breakfast was over. I'm wearing Jackie O sunglasses and a big grin. Adam's blue eyes catch the camera perfectly. We seem to shine in that way of memory, except the actual experience was just as good as what remained of it afterward. I was pregnant then. I'm convinced of that now. I was pregnant when I put on the silver hoop earrings and matching necklace that I wear in that shot. I was pregnant when I looped my red shoulder bag across my body. Implantation occurs when the fertilized egg attaches itself to the uterine lining. The stubborn little one, now known as a conceptus, fuses itself to its mother in search of oxygen and nutrients that allow it to grow. This, I imagine our little zygote-to-be did with alacrity, judging by the number of times I find myself bent over the toilet in subsequent days. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Ryan, and this is Neighbor by Marilyn Horn Fahey. The man down the street doesn't know me, but he thinks he does. There must be some other tall white dude who wears sunglasses when they walk through the neighborhood, someone who enjoys conversing with their neighbors. I am not that person. I listen to my iPod and avoid eye contact and conversation with everyone I meet. But the man down the street doesn't understand this about me. I don't remember the exact day he decided we were friends, and can only imagine how it happened. I saw him approaching, an old Asian man wearing a ball cap and big gold-framed eyeglasses and walking a beagle. And then I did what I usually do. I smiled at the dog. So that's probably how it all started, this friendship of ours. From then on, the hello, and the big grin, and the how are you today? Good day for a walk. If he was way down the street and we're not likely to pass each other, he waves and shouts his happy greeting in a joyous way, as if I'm the person he's waited all day to see. For a while, I wondered if he was mentally deranged. I watched for clues, but couldn't find any. He keeps his property clean and his lawn and rosebuds tended, which crazy people generally don't do. Plus, he has a lot of friends, other old Asian men mostly, who visit on Sunday afternoons. They drink Bud Light in his garage and sing karaoke. So, from what I can tell, he just has me confused with someone who is friendly and talks to their neighbors. I don't do either, and I'm not apologetic about it. I come from a long line of let's not get involved people. My brother, for instance, pretends to be on his cell phone at dog parks so he doesn't have to talk to anyone. This is perfectly understandable to me and probably to some of you listening. Others won't understand. All I can say is that creating any kind of bond with another human, even a temporary one, raises all kinds of anxieties and fears of being asked too much of. Thus, the sunglasses and iPod. But this neighbor of mine doesn't notice these defenses. He thinks I'm friendly and approachable. Hi there, he yells to me, even if he's conversing with someone else. At first, I avoided him. I walked another way when I saw him coming. Sometimes I still do, but usually I don't. Usually I take out my earbuds and have a brief conversation with him. Nice to see you, I say, or have a good day. I even once asked, what's your dog's name? And learned her name was Olive. Because he thinks I am friendly, I have become it. But still, I maintain a bit of distance. I'm worried he'll invite me to sing garage karaoke with him and his friends. This I cannot do. If he invited me, I would have to say no. Maybe he would file it under things the friendly, approachable white dude doesn't enjoy doing. Or maybe then he would know that I'm not the person he thinks I am. He'll realize I'm just a shy person who doesn't like making eye contact with his neighbors. He'll see the sunglasses and iPod for what they really are, a way to ward off people. Boy, was I wrong, he'll say, and Olive will look up at him with sad eyes and nod. From then on, no more, hello, nice to see you. No more big grins when he sees me, as if I'm his favorite person in the whole world. So what then? Maybe I'll knock on his front door, take off my sunglasses, say, let's still be friends. That's the best case scenario. The more likely one is this. I'll revert back to my usual MO. De-evolve, you could say, back to where I'm most comfortable. It's lonely there, but it's safe. I'll keep my head down when we pass. I won't even smile at the dog. Thank you.
This is The Golden Beauty of Carlina Johansson, author of Milner's Dreams by Keiko O'Leary. The first book I ever read by Carlina Johansson was The Farthest Country. It's about an alien race made of flexible crystal. The author, I think of it as Carlina, describes the aliens so beautifully that I simply fell in love with the story, with the alien culture, sure, but that happens every time I read a good book. I fell in love with her, with the beauty of her imagination and the beauty of her prose. It was the first time I ever understood that humans write these stories. I had to send a fan letter. Writing it, I felt like the most awkward man alive, and I never expected she'd actually write me back. She did. We've been writing letters for almost a year. Conway's golden mirrors and lamp-lit maple tables remind me of a setting from Milner's Dreams, one of Carlina's most beautiful and haunting books. I wonder if she ever comes here to write. I imagine her sitting at a corner table, pen in hand. There's never been an author picture in any of her books, but my mind creates a clear image. The face of an angel with a halo of golden hair and golden eyelashes surrounding hazel eyes. She told me in a letter that she has hazel eyes. She was giving an example of something that's hard to describe, and of course she went on to describe hazel eyes so beautifully that I was sure I had stared deeply into her eyes and seen the ocean green and the sky gray flecks within the warm and gold and brown fires of her irises, sure that I had traveled vast distances in the sparkling interstellar depths of her pupils. 3 months ago, I decided to go to Colorado and meet her. I found a physical therapy seminar in Denver and bought my plane ticket. I wrote to Carlina that I was going to be in her area anyway and if I could take her to lunch. She suggested we meet at Conway's. I'm not a stalker, I know. I'm just a fan. I don't expect anything to come of it, but I'm determined to tell her the truth. Just for myself. Just so I'll know I live my life true to my heart. I have to look into her beautiful hazel eyes and say, I love you. I can see the door from where I'm sitting. As each person enters, I wonder if it's her. Most of them are in groups, so I know right away it's not, but there's someone. Oh, a man. Could Carlina be a pen name? What if? But no, he's looking for anyone. He's at his usual table. Oh, and this next woman, no one's following her. She does have golden hair, and she's quite beautiful. Not as tall as I imagined, but you can't be right about everything. She's looking for someone. Could those be hazel eyes? No, she's heading over to the man with the usual table, not Carlina. A family, a couple. A long time when nobody enters. I lose track of my purpose, though the words "I love you" echo in my mind as I watch the waiters' silhouettes walk back and forth in front of the golden light of the mirrors. I suddenly look up. A woman stands in front of me. Knitted sweater, curly hair. She's backlit by the mirrors. I can't see her face. Are you Robert Vega? She says. Carlina Johansson? That's me. We shake hands and she sits down. I see her for the first time. She's not beautiful. She's plain. She looks like a housewife. Maybe she is one. I never really asked about her family. Oh, I guess I still don't realize that she's human, not just a name on the cover of a book, a voice speaking out of a text on a page. I have to say something, but I'm in shock. How could this person have written those stories? It's so nice to finally meet you, she says, to put a face to the name. I want to take her face back. To have only the name in my imagination and her stories. Say here. Same here, I say. And I make myself look into her eyes. They're hazel. In fact, they're just as she described them. This is the author of Milner's Dreams in the farthest country. She's a real person, and I have to do what I came here to do. I look deep into her hazel eyes, and I say it. I love your work. Thank you.
This is Dudley and Donny from Van Tribes by Rick Alpers. Dudley stepped onto the medical free bus and winced as he put his foot down. The place smelled clean. This odor was very strange to him, but it reminded him of trips to the doctor with his mother and Ione. Dr. Travis had been a small-town doctor, served everyone. His office and exam room were near the Rexall Drug and Penny's outlet store in the south end of town. His mom used to schedule their appointments so that she could get any medicine and school clothes the family needed in one trip. Donny saw Dudley, and Dudley saw Donny. Donny said, "Hey, Dudley, is that you?" Dudley replied, "That's me. How are you?" Donny started to catch him up on the last 20 years and was cut short by an RN asking, "What's the holdup? The patient needs a shot and a bandage," the RN said, "or the wound will get infected." Donny said to Dudley, "Go with her and come back. Later, we can talk." The timing of this meeting was critical for Donny. She knew she might never see Dudley again, so she got the chart organized and called his name just like any other patient and waited while he stepped into the small, cramped exam treatment room. It really was not a treatment room in the purest sense, but it worked for a free clinic. He did come back, and Donny asked how he was doing. She asked how he stepped on the thorn. She asked where he was living now. "The jungle," he said. She nodded, then said before she could lose her courage, "Donny, you have a daughter. We have a daughter. The last I heard, she was living in San Francisco. She's 22. Dudley had stopped listening. He was thinking about the wind. It was a real pain to deal with on a bicycle loaded with cans, bottles, and plastic, but he learned how he could make it work. All you had to do was go slow and not allow the wind to turn you over. The bags were completely full, and any misstep would be disastrous. The competition was always rough down by the river. New people showed up every day. The CCC was moving people out of established areas, and they had to go somewhere. Dudley kept to himself. He did whistle, but really didn't bother anyone, and was deep into survival as an art form. He had found a way to make it. It was fine, so long as it was just him and Lisa. "I've never met her," she was saying, "but I know her name is Rosie." Dudley let out a long, slow whistle. Thank you.
This is The End of Time by cellista Freya Seeburger. This is a preview of the monologue that cellist Freya Seeburger will be sharing on February 5th at the Anno Domini Gallery in San Jose when she performs the quartet from The End of Time. Prologue to The End of Time. The lights are dimmed to the light of candles close to the end of their wicks. 4 musicians enter the room in a line: a pianist, a violinist, a clarinetist, a cellist. All but the cellists sit. They place music on stands. They fold their hands. They lower their heads and their eyes are closed. The cellist remains standing. Her eyes are painted to a point of exaggeration. Her lips are rouged. She wears a crown-like hat woven into her hair. She is here tonight to tell a story.
San José, I invited you here tonight to bear witness to your past, present, and future. On January 15th, 1941, in Stalag 8A, a prisoner of war camp in Poland, in the frigid cold of winter, a miracle occurred. The quartet was germinated in this hell camp and performed in front of both inmate victims of the war and their captors. The terrors of war and the camp were transcended that night. 31-year-old Messiaen, a French medic in the army, arrived at the Stalag 8A after being captured by Germans. He found himself imprisoned with hundreds of other prisoners and met 3 fellow musicians among them, a violinist, a cellist, and a clarinetist. He began writing music for the 3. A guard named Brull gave the composer the pencils and manuscript paper with which to compose. And in these conditions, the first miracle occurred. Crushing circumstances allowed for a creation that could not have happened otherwise. His creation allowed for an escape into freedom. The title of his work, Quatuor pour la fin du temps, comes from the book of Revelations. There will be no more time, but in the days when the 7th angel is to blow his trumpet, the most of God's will be fulfilled. It would be easy to cast the piece into an apocalyptic shadow, but Messiaen shed away from such thinking. He notes that to regard the revelation with eyes turned only to the darkness of the cataclysms and catastrophes it depicts is to disregard the solemnity and light at work within it, to see only the death that inevitably comes and not the resurrection that redeems it. On the night of its premiere, when it was performed before an audience of both captives and their captors, the tables of power were turned. In that moment, the Nazis were cast down, and the prisoners themselves were raised up and set free.
This is our last piece of the evening.
This is Fabulous Water Sports by Roy Proctor. Welcome, welcome, welcome! Oh, you had no way of knowing, so you're forgiven this time, but you're never to enter the pool again unless I'm present to ensure your safety. People have drowned in a spoonful of water. I don't mean a gravy ladle either, I mean a spoonful. Do you understand? Oh, no, where were we? Oh, yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the new exercise pool at the Garden of Earthly Delights Retirement Complex, Richmond's first and only retirement community serving the needs of senior LGBT communities. Let's hope it won't be the last. I'm Christopher Heine, the center's first part-time water exercise instructor. I will be your instructor for the first session meeting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1:30 p.m. for 6 weeks. A few ground rules to begin with. Please be on time, raise your hand to speak, and don't, I repeat, don't enter the pool unless I am present and permit you to do so. No diving, no cannonballing, no goosing, no groping, no flashing, no eating, no drinking, no smoking, no injection of other substances or foreign matter into the body. Is that clear?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? The Bridging the Great Divide study group will meet 15 minutes in the Oscar Wilde room.
Well, as I was saying, I'm Christopher Heine, the center's first part-time instructor in water exercise. I was born and raised in Dinwiddie County. I pursued physical education at Robert E. Lee Bible College near Roanoke. I live in a double-wide mobile home in Hanover County with my boyfriend, Bruce, who is the love of my life. Any questions? Mr. Denny, correct? I'm sorry, Mr. Earnhardt. I roomed with a Barry Earnhardt at Lee. You're not related to Barry by any chance, are you? Well, I didn't think so. You don't look a thing like him. What's your question? Well, you don't major in physical education at any Bible college. You pursue it on the side. Now listen up. In this class, we'll be following the fabulous water sports regimen by Christopher, which I'm trying to trademark so I can afford to move to San Francisco with Bruce, who is the love of my... Okay. What now? I'm teaching, damn it. Oh, go to hell, Bruce, and stay there. No, don't bother. Take everything you brought into the relationship, except Omar, he is my dog, and push your key through the mail slot. No, I'm not kidding. Last night was the last straw. Bye. I'm so sorry. Now, where was I? Questions? Mr. Smith, right? At the end of each term, we'll put on a fully costumed aquacade show, complete with costumes and magical lighting and synchronized water exercises. Busby Berkeley lives again. Hooray for the golden age of Hollywood swimming pool choreography. You'd be surprised what we can do with just a few beach balls and a little gumption. Yeah. Are you out of your fucking mind? No, you may not move in with my mother. I don't give a shit how much you like her. I don't give a shit how much she likes you. The answer is no. 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 Oh, don't you... Now, where was I? Oh, yes, beach balls. Any more questions? Mr. Poindexter? Oh, Mr. Mallory, I'm so sorry. Mr. Poindexter, can you raise your hand so we know where you are? There you are. Good, thank you. Now, Mr. Mallory, what is your question? Well, I'll have to think about that. Did you hear Mr. Mallory's question? Mr. Mallory asked if he could wear his two-piece Dale Evans swimsuit with buckskin fringe in the aquacade. I'll have to think about that. I didn't know Dale Evans went swimming. I thought she just rode Palominos into the sunset with Roy Rogers and all those westerns and got down just long enough to sing Happy Trails. You do? Huh? Did you hear that, gentlemen? Mr. Mallory also has a one-piece Esther Williams red peony swimsuit. Well, aren't you just the 1940s Hollywood fashion plate? Does it come complete with a matching Esther Williams red peony bathing cap? Oh my, it is amazing what you can pick up in thrift stores.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been brought to management's attention that a chainsaw and power drill have been left in the lobby cloakroom. Management kindly requests that the owners of these implements store them in their lockers at their earliest convenience.
Now, have any other questions before we begin our limbering up exercises? Mr. Gibbs, right? I knew it! What's your question? The closest men's restroom is off the men's locker room. No, Mr. Gibbs, you may not pee in the pool. I don't care how far the locker room is, you'll just have to keep it until you get there. I don't care how much chlorine is in the pool. The pool could be sea green with chlorine for all I care. You still can't pee in it. A pool is not an ocean, all right? It's not a lake, a river, a stream, a rivulet. If it's that important to you to be unsanitary, go pee in your bathtub. Well, in your shower then. Mr. Mallory. You hear that, class? Mr. Mallory only has a shower, too. Well, Mr. Mallory, if you can slip out of your Dale Evans bottoms with the buckskin fringe long enough, maybe you and Mr. Gibbs can go pee in the shower together. Now, one last thing before we get started. Pools are not to be trifled with, especially not by the aged like yourself. The depth of the pool is 3 feet on this end, and 5 feet on this end. Yeah. Except for the well in the corner of the deep end, that's 8 feet deep. Do you see it? That's not for us. It's for therapy. Elderly gentlemen like you have disappeared in wells like that and never been heard from again. But there is compensation, gentlemen. Do you see that ledge along the shallow end? Well, 5 minutes before each session concludes, I'll turn on the bubble machine, And where do you think you're going, Mr. Gibbs? Mr. Mallory? Mr. Mallory, where are you going? Oh, you're up to no good. I know it. You're going to go pee in the shower together. What is it, Mama? No, Bruce cannot move in with you. Mama, if you dare, I will never speak to you again. Mr. Poindexter. Mr. Poindexter, where are you going? Mr. Earnhardt? What is happening here? Bye, Mama. Love you. No. This class is not a waste of time. It is the fulfillment of your dreams. Please come back. You don't know what you're doing. Mr. Mallory, you can wear any goddamn swimsuit you want. Fucking daisies for all I care. Just come on back. All of you, please come back. Oh, where are you going, Esther? Dale. Roy, I beg of you. Oh.
Your attention, please. Will Christopher Heine be so kind as to report to the center's director's office? Christopher Heine to the center's director's office on the double.
Thank you.
Thank you guys all so much.
Yes, thank you. We want to thank, as always, our writers who contributed their time and talent, the actors who contributed their time and talent to this event. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who comes and supports us. Thank you.
Thank you also to Max and Cafe Stritch, as well as the team at South Bay Pulse. We hope that you follow along with us. We hope to have some more shows later this year. And
if you stick around for a little bit, at 9 o'clock, they're doing a DJ set here called Wax Wednesdays. So if you want to stay, eat more, drink more, chat more, that's coming up next at Stritch.
Thanks again. Have a good night.
Thanks.